Nice. Oh, okay. Yay! Thanks, Sloan.
Yay! I think it's working. Okay. Let's go to our vids. Okay. Talk a little bit and then we'll see if it comes through. I'm looking on my phone right now to make sure it works.
Okay, well, I guess we're streaming now, but
Yes, we
Salt
are
and Honey.
It works.
Salt and Honey is like our show about comics and like storytelling and art and all those things that we like to talk about. And I guess we're doing streams now. We're trying to. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
and how we like it.
We're just like mixing it up. I grew a new skin tag over quarantine, so I thought starting a video.
You want to show it?
A YouTube show would be, fun. Hi, Ping. Ping says hi. Yay. Yeah, you want to like tell people what you've been up to? Yeah.
I haven't been doing anything. I don't think.
That's not true. We've been working on stuff.
We've been working on stuff, but it's really in the beginning stages. So we're trying to do a comic right now. An actual comic and not just like our brainstorming session.
Yeah.
So I'm working on Rust for that. We've been talking about the characters and like the story for probably like a month now, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
A little over a month. So yeah, maybe maybe something will happen. I don't know. What about you, Sloan? I feel like you've been really busy. I'm like, I don't know what I've been doing. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's been fun. I'm excited about our collab. And what have I been doing? Just writing, trying to work on a new like manuscript, like a novel project. So I'm like world building and stuff. Just trying to have fun. I'm not trying to sweat things too much right now. Because it looks like another quarantine summer for me, so yeah.
Yeah, well...
I think you're echoing.
I'm echoing?
Yeah.
Why?
A lot.
A lot?
It's just like it just sound like a robot, kinda.
How's my audio? Is it bad?
I mean, you sound fine to me. Tommy says it sounds bad.
You said it sounded like a robot.
No. Let me see. You sound good on YouTube.
I don't know. He's just... Okay. Well, we'll keep going with it, and if it's really bad, then we'll try to fix it.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how I would fix it, but...
I have this issue... I've had this issue with, like, audio on Discord... Not on Discord, on Twitch before.
Oh, really?
I don't remember what the issue was. I think it's, like, something with my computer or, like, the sound output.
Let me tell our viewers to say something. Is Leslie's audio? Anyway, yeah, so we're doing a YouTube to have fun, to try something new, and yeah. So should we get into our comics review then? Should we just jump in? Leslie, can you hear me?
Hello? Yeah, I can. Sorry.
Okay. No, it's okay. Should we just jump into reviewing then?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about some floppy comics that Sloan chose this time. We've talked about this, we've done this before on our podcast, but we never had like a visual companion, I guess, of the actual pages or anything. So, yeah. I feel like I've gotten a lot softer and like less harsh about comics, so we'll see
Is that true?
How this goes. It kind of depends. I feel like I have a lot. Like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I think I'm just kind of if I don't like something, I'm like, I guess it's fine still. I don't know. I'm not judge, jury, and executioner of floppy comics, obviously.
I guess that's true. Okay, let's try and go to our slides then. Let me make sure that your audio is working on this end for this page. I'm sorry everyone's got to suffer through my OBS newbiness.
Okay. Are we going in order?
Yeah, I think I have them in
order.
So yeah, right now I'm just looking at the cover. So this is BRZRKR, which is the kind of infamous Boom Studios Keanu Reeves comic.
I actually hadn't heard that much about this, but I haven't really been keeping up with new releases. I feel like there's just so many.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, BRZRKR's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, like, the only reason I think I heard about this is because people were annoyed that Boom was kickstarting this comic.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Which is very weird. Also, I don't know why, like, Keanu wouldn't, like, foot the bill on this. But anyway.
It's his passion project. Why should he have to?
I mean, because he's rich.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, what did you... Well, I guess I can give like a rundown about what this first issue is about.
We can...
Yeah, like in Keanu fashion, he's a immortal, like, killer, like, warrior. And he's working for the military for some reason. Not sure why yet. Yeah. And that's really all we got from issue 1.
Yeah, there's not really that much going on in the first issue. I just want to note it's written by Keanu and another writer named Matt Kint.
Mm-hmm.
And illustrated by Ron Garney, colors by Bill Crabtree, and lettered by Clem Robbins.
Mm-hmm.
And as we said, this is a Boom comic. I'm not a fan of the writing in this, but I think it's just because I feel like there's like some comics that have way too much info dump going on, and I feel like this comic has like none of that, and I feel like I'd rather have an info dump in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I understand why they're not giving that much context, because I'm assuming that like that explaining it is like kind of the whole point of this comic. I want to say, but I feel like there's not really that much there, like not a lot of intrigue there for me to be like, oh, like I really want to know what happens with this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's pretty light narratively, which I guess is kind of par for the course. Like it's gonna be an action thing because that's what he likes.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to, like, maybe we can scroll through a couple pages. So, like, here's the opening page. I don't know, what do you feel about, like, the art style?
I think the art is fine. I don't mind the art. I feel like that, but I also feel like my main issue with this is kind of the way that they go about with panels and the flow of the comic. So I feel like the art is the art and the coloring, like the actual drawings themselves, like they don't bother me at all. Like I think that they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
But the pacing of the story is really strange to me because I feel like I remember like the first probably like first like 2/3 of it is like this basically wordless action. Like it's just they're like having a conversation.
Yeah.
about something in the future, but like the actions are like from the past, I guess. What is that? Is that just?
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't really know. It's like a really bizarre thing where I feel like I understand where they're coming from, but I just feel like the execution's not that great.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I feel like it's pretty Well, like style wise, I'm not crazy about it. I feel like it feels like just kind of this like undigested Frank Miller
Hmm.
not a rip, but just like way too what's the word?
It's
Like
like in that.
very like married to his like stylistic kind of like habits, and I don't feel like they're very I don't know, examined. Like it's just like, oh, this is how he would draw like little military pouches or this is how he draws jeans. Just like very liney and scratchy. Like it's well done, but I just find it very just like boring. Like that one splash page of Keanu like jumping from the helicopter just feels
Mhm.
like very Miller to me, and it's just like, yeah, and Miller would do it better, like that's the problem when you like hang too tightly to like an inspiration, then you're like drawing more comparisons to that source,
Yeah.
and they're going to do it better if you're not bringing something new to it.
Yeah, I could see that. It's like it's very much in that school of thought. Like all the, it's kind of like rough and but also figurative. I don't
Yeah.
know. I feel like it's okay. Like as I said, I think it's like the least the part that I have the least problem with. I definitely have more of an issue with like all the choices that are made. Like I don't really like I tend to not like comics that have a more storyboarded feel.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of pages where it's kind of just showing like a really tiny movement, like a hand like touching something. I'm just like, I don't
Yeah.
like it's not what comics are for to me. Like I feel like you can express a lot more than that and just in like a whole page or like 3 panels or something.
Yeah, for sure. I also think a big thing with like all three of these comics that's a problem to me is like the over literal coloring. So like the
Mhm.
soldiers are in army green, and like there's there's like a beige wall and like blue carpet, and it just feels very like safe and uninspired. And I don't think it's adding
Mhm.
like anything to the story at all. They do the trick where it's like when there's action, everything is kind of red, or like the
Yeah.
backgrounds get textured in red, but that's like also, yeah, like, oh, he's doing violence, so let's reference like bloodiness. Like, yeah, that's also not very exciting to me.
Yeah, I definitely think that, especially because a lot of the drawings are just so literal, like all the actions like are really clear to me. But I think that they could have been a bit more experimental in that sense.
Yeah.
Because why not? Like we know what blood looks like in real life generally.
Yeah.
So I think you can have a little bit more like imagination and like some more interesting choices than just like kind of the normal like dusty color palette for all
Yeah,
the action
totally.
parts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
Why
this
why did
was
you end up choosing why did you end up choosing these titles? Like,
I
was there
think
like a thought behind it?
no, they were just like some of the most like recent releases or things that I had heard about. Like I think the other two comics came out like within the last week or two. And
Okay.
then this one I just saw someone retweet it, and I was like, "Oh, we could read it." Yeah, not a lot of thought beyond that.
Really haven't read these yet? I'll read them now.
Yeah, I was also like perusing like the previews like site trying to find other things to read, and I just nothing looked, I don't know. It just all blurs together for me like style-wise. There's a lot of
Hmm.
trends like visual trends happening, and it's just I don't know. They all look the same.
Yeah, I imagine that it's a lot of just like a weird, like that weird comics hive mind where everyone just ends up kind of becoming one because that's just what you're exposed to all the time, and you're reading comics all the time, so you're like, that's just your visual library, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, at the so like what happens at the end of this comic, like he's I don't know, did you find it to be a moving like cliffhanger, or Like at the end of his like fight, he like gets all burned like V for Vendetta style and is like kind of like raw meat.
I did not like that part, but I think that's like a personal thing more than like.
He also
like,
there's also a part where he gets his nose shot off.
Oh yeah,
that was so weird. I was like, okay.
I mean, I guess that I guess when that happened, I was like, is this gonna follow through in the other pages? And they did, so I was like, oh, okay. I don't know what I was expecting. I don't know. I generally don't like stuff like that. I don't know why. Like, there's something about the visual of like burned up guys that I find very disturbing. So like having like several pages of him just with like half a face and like
just being meaty.
I don't know. Yeah, like being meaty. It just not for me, not my thing. And also, like this whole part where like he's holding someone's heart, like ripping out the president's heart. I think is that what it was?
Yeah, I think so.
And like there's like some kid watching him, and he's like gets a flashback to maybe himself or someone else, or I don't know. I was like, I don't know what this means.
Yeah, he's like he's like from Neolithic times or something. He's like
yeah, but like who is that? Like who is that other person staring at him though?
I don't know.
Like is this supposed to? Like I feel like that sort of thing where I'm like, yeah, but I think the problem is that it doesn't because I'm just like. There's everything is just so like turned up like to 10 that there's like not really any gravitas to anything. Like I don't feel anything really when he gets injured just because he's still like he's obviously still okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how like I'm not really sure like what kind of emotion I'm supposed to feel while reading this comic.
Yeah, totally.
What about you?
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. Like when you have like it's clearly established in the beginning he's like immortal, so if a character is not gonna be able to like Wick, stop barking. Sorry. If a character is not gonna have any obstacles physically, then why would I care about anything that happens to him? So you have to kind of move it like, internally, like show me who he is as a person. Give me something to latch onto. Otherwise he's just like a little god man, and like I guess that's fun if all you want to see is drawings of like him, I don't know, hitting people with cars, but I don't feel like if you're, and that can be fun, like violence, like Chainsaw Man is like pretty violent and but it's like interesting the way it's depicted, but I don't think there's anything visually interesting going on with these pages, and like their expression of violence is not interesting to me.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think that all those things are really hard, like to make something interesting and like, or to make like some comic that's centered around violence be interesting and have clarity at the same time. Which, as you brought up, Chainsaw Man tries to do that, but I feel like a lot of the time I'm like, I don't know what is happening.
Yeah.
I have an impression of what's happening, but it's not like clear to me. It can be like a mark of, I don't know, success, I guess, to have like a really purely visual scene of like a fight or something and have that be readable, but yeah, I don't really find it to be compelling.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't feel like strongly about this either, so
yeah,
it didn't like intrigue me at all.
Yeah, same.
And I'm kind of curious about who, like, I don't think that this is like a hard comic to like. I feel like it's hard for me to understand sometimes why people like certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I think they're bad, because I'm just like, what are you getting out of this that I'm not? But I'd be curious to see like why people like this, other than like they like Keanu or something.
Yeah.
Or, like action comics.
I feel like that's probably, I mean, I didn't read any reviews about it, but I also haven't seen hardly anything like in the Twitter sphere about it, so I don't know if anyone does like it very much.
They're like, hello,
like,
this is like the best comic ever.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's not great. I mean, I would put it on like inoffensive. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
I would put it on like inoffensive. Like, it's just...
Yeah,
inoffensive. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say that it is hard to have a lot of story in 24 pages, so I don't I don't know how much you could like add to that. But I do kind of feel like it would benefit from a little bit more editing, a little tighter, especially like with the like I don't need like 18 pages of a badass doing cool stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I think I would rather, get into the part where, like, I don't know, what is that thing where babies remember being born? Like, isn't there like a phrase for that?
Oh yeah.
I would rather get to that sooner. Yeah,
What is it, like
forget.
genetic memory, kind of? I don't know.
Yeah.
I
forget
like
what
the
it's called.
baby's like nursing, and then it's like bit her nipple off or something. That's at the end. I
Yeah,
didn't save that page, unfortunately.
that's not cool.
That's rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Berserker,
It's not unreadable, but this is not like my preferred genre either. But yeah, I didn't feel strongly either way. I think I was kind of just like, okay, like,
Yeah.
I feel like there's not really that much to it.
Yeah, agreed. So should we move on to our next comic? I actually forgot to save the cover page, but this is The Dreaming Waking Hours, #1 by written by G. Willow Wilson, pencils and inks by Nick Robles, colored by Matt Lopez, and I don't see a letterer, but yeah. Yeah, this is like a
Sandman offshoot comic or something.
Yeah, a Sandman like mini series. I haven't read The Dreaming. I haven't read any Sandman since I was a preteen.
I actually think that we have read some Sandman comics. I forget which one it was, but it was like it was like similar to this. It's like a non Neil Gaiman series.
Okay, yeah.
I forget which one though, because I do remember reading one, and I don't remember that much about it, other than it was like.
You know what? I think I do. Yeah, you know what? I think we did read one of the issues of The Dreaming to a review before.
Another one, yeah, it was like another.
And I think I did like the art for that, if I remember, but I'm not sure. But yeah, this is about the character dreams. I don't know, he lets this creature named Ruin into the real world. I don't know why
you it's like a nightmare.
Yeah. And there's like a scholar and some other character I don't know anything about.
She's like a Shakespeare scholar who is going through grad school, and she has a baby, and she's not doing very well because she hasn't finished her, I don't know, her like thesis or dissertation or something about Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And she basically gets stuck in like a lucid dream, and she's not able to come out because, as someone said, Ruin keeps her from coming out. I ended up reading a couple of issues after this because I was like, huh? What's happening? But not a lot is explained in the subsequent issues.
Yeah.
But I'm actually like, I think I'm really unfamiliar with like that post Sandman stuff. Like, I don't remember the last time I read the Sandman comic.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like many years. So I think that whoever Dream is now is like a new guy, right?
I have
he has white hair.
Have no
so
idea.
I'm assuming it's a new guy. I think it is, but anyway, regardless, I think that the art is fine. Like, I didn't find anything wrong with the art. I thought it was, like acceptable to me.
Yeah, I can see a lot of
like harsher. That sounds way harsh, but it means that I don't find anything wrong with it. I don't mind it because a lot of time I'm just like, oh, I can't read this.
Yeah, I think my biggest issue, like, this person can obviously draw, but I think my biggest issue was paneling and composition. I thought was super weak. Like, I really dislike this panel of, it's like a full page splash of them sitting at a table. drinking coffee. And we see like the back of one character, like right in the opening. I just was like, why is this a full page splash? Like, nothing's happening. Like, he's saying like one, he's saying like one thing, but it's just like very strange to me. This is not like a dramatic moment. And I also think it's like cropped strangely. Like, the table's like tangented against the edge of the page. Just not great composition. I also don't like a lot of the like just choices for shots. Like in one of these pages, I think it's like 3 or 4, there's just a shot of shoes by the door, and I'm like,
is this just the first issue, or is this like
this is just the first issue? Yeah, the first issue.
I don't remember this. Like, what am I looking at?
Yeah, it's just shoes by the front door, and I'm like, what story work is this doing? It's not doing anything. Like,
yeah.
I really dislike that. I find it so boring. And I just think there should be, like, I understand, like, the scene is, like, a conversation, and so they're kind of, like, moving around the scene, like, oh, this person's sitting up on the chair, and, like, I don't know. It's just, like, I feel like there's an easier... a more interesting way to depict this.
Yeah,
and just a lot of awkward composition and how he places the characters. Like, perspective is off in a way that makes the characters look like kind of giant in some places and like tiny in others. Yeah, that's like, I think, my main gripe. And then same again with the colors. Colors are very just like toasted brown, which is fine. And then when they go into this like magical realm, there's like color, like, fantastical color, but again, I just feel like it's very predictable, and I don't know.
Yeah, what do you think? I see that. There were some parts that I liked, but none of them in the pages that you captured, I guess, that you saved.
Oh, I did. I only saved the ones you didn't like.
I like the ones where they're kind of trying to be like classic Sandman. I was like, that's kind of cool. Okay. Like, but this is not like my favorite type of paneling. I think just because it kind of favors, I don't know what this like thought of mine is, but I think it kind of favors like a more like a standalone comics page, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Like, this is supposed to look sick as like just an illustration instead of a story, I guess.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes I think people do prioritize that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think sometimes for the sake of having things be more clear, then I think it is better to kind of err on, I don't know, clarity instead of having something look really interesting and like sick and like just as it is. Because I do find some of the irregular panels to be like distracting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like overall it's okay. It's not my favorite, but it's also not a bad looking comic to me.
Yeah. Again, just like fine, mostly inoffensive. There's this part where they talk to like this tree guy or a tree nymph that I thought was funny. They like woke him up from like he was like trying to die. And they're like, what happened here? And then all of a sudden he just like goes on a spiel about this place's history. I was like, weren't you just trying to die? Like, why are you so chatty all of a sudden?
He's like, actually, I've been waiting for someone to ask me about that.
Yeah.
And I no longer want.
He's like, I've been holding on to this backstory that I wanted to share. Let me just lay it all out for you.
Yeah. Yeah, like sometimes, I don't know, I'm looking at some of the other pages, and sometimes the decorative panels, they're like cool looking, but they don't add anything to it. I don't know.
Yeah, there's like those curved art panels,
pretty...
and I'm like, I don't know that it's doing much.
like I understand its purpose, but I also feel like it could be expressed in a different way as well.
Right. I also don't think there's a lot of great character acting, not like in this one or in BRZRKR. Like,
Yeah.
like in BRZRKR, everyone's just kind of like gritting their teeth and like kind of always in a snarl. This one is like when they're not smiling, I feel like their faces are like overly expressive, like cartoony, which is fine, but that can get kind of like tiring.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, is this issue? This is issue 8. Oh, did you? So you didn't read it? Wait, is the one I'm showing issue 8, or did I send you issue 8?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think you sent me issue 8.
Whoopsie.
Whoopsie. I was like, I don't remember reading these pages.
My bad. Yeah. Yeah, this was so you read number 1 then.
Yeah. I read number 1 and I think I read the second and third issue.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. What did you Okay, I didn't read those. Sorry, we had a miscommunication. But what did you think of those?
You read like the most recent issue. I think it was okay. Like I kind of feel like the character acting could be better. I've definitely seen worse. But I kind of felt like I wasn't really sure. I think for me, I was like, I don't know I can't tell where this is going. So I think I just kept reading a little bit more. But I was like, do I care about this guy? Like, do I care about this next guy? So there was a bit of that. I didn't find it. I feel like it's kind of not my thing. Again.
What, like fantasy or style-wise or?
There was just something about I don't know. It was like a really strange I don't know like what I was feeling when I was reading this, but there was like a part in the first issue where like the main character, the scholar, gets kind of like owned by her. I don't know. I forget what their like mentor, or like their advisor.
Okay.
I guess. Yeah. Stuff like that like kind of just like makes me cringe. I don't know why. Like I feel like there's something about that narrative where it's like this person is like so mean for like almost no reason. Something about that.
Kind of like clumsy character work, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't. I feel like it's like this is like obviously stuff like this happens, but like it's never. I feel like oftentimes there's like the person who's getting berated shouldn't be getting berated, but like maybe there's like some underlying reason to that happening, whether it's right or not. And I don't feel that at all. Like I feel like it was very two-dimensional about something that is obviously complicated. Yeah. Because I think at one point like the main character was like, I thought that you would understand like as a woman in academia like what I'm going through, and her advisor is like, you mean that I would like go easy on you or something? And I was like, this is corny. I don't know how. I feel like it's just like so like I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know like what my feeling is when I see stuff like that. I just don't like it. Yeah. I feel like it's
like a bit crazy.
I feel like most people. Yeah, I feel like most people wouldn't go into that situation like expecting to use that as like a reason why they're not doing well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't go to grad school. I'm not trying to get like a PhD in Shakespeare stuff. So it's like, what do I know? But I still felt it was a bit too obvious for me.
Yeah, totally. That makes sense. Yeah, the dreaming, the waking hours, another
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you love Sandman stuff, this is fun.
Maybe.
Yeah, again, like, I don't really know. Like, I feel like a lot of people I know have read the Sandman, but I don't really know that many people, like, keep up with, like, the like, offshoot spin-off series.
Yeah. And again, also, like, the color in this is just, like, even in this, like, magical area, this magical world, like, everything is kind of, like, pink-brown. and like very low contrast, and I just don't find it very flattering to the line art, which is also like the line art is okay. I find it kind of like it's a bit too amorphous. Like I don't find that there's a lot of strong line work happening. There's a lot of like, I don't know if this is, it kind of looks traditional brushwork maybe. There's also like some hatching, but I just find it kind of inconsistent. Like there's line weight happening, but it's not always like, thicker to the foreground and thinner in the background, or like line weight beneath under shapes to show weight. And so it's kind of ends up just becoming a bit, I don't know, it doesn't add to any of the depth in my opinion, and there's also not a lot of like flow to it. Like if you're, not that you have to have a line of action, but if there's no structure or like rhyme or reason to how you're inking and you're just kind of going about it, it ends up looking very like loose and kind of amateur in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. When I'm looking at it, I kind of feel like it's digital.
Yeah,
looks
that
digital
makes
to
sense
me.
too.
Because I think like that's another problem that I personally encountered when I do digital comics, is that like I feel like I can get lost and like because I'm so used to doing traditional inking that it's like really, you have like two sizes for like the tools you're working with basically. So you kind of have more control on that, but like if you're working digitally, you can go like as small or as big as you want. So
Yeah, totally.
it can easily get out of hand.
Yeah, like if you zoom in on these faces, this is like where they're walking towards the viewer, like through a door into a forest, and it's like their faces have a lot of detail, but really this page is like huge, and their detail, like the details get lost at this like scale, but you can tell this artist was like, zooming in like we all do. Yeah, it's a tricky thing to do digital inking and not get lost in the details like that.
Yeah, or like use the wrong brush. That's the problem I come up with the most somehow, is just using a tiny brush and being like, why does it look so weird?
Then you zoom out and it's like you can barely see the lines.
Yeah, you can barely see the lines. I'm like, great.
Damn it.
I'm not gonna read. How to make it thicker?
Yeah.
It's a vector.
Doesn't Clip Studio have like that line filter now that can like thicken your lines for you?
Oh,
have you seen that?
I'm sure that they do. I think I have seen that before, but I was like, that seems like it's a lot.
Yeah. I don't know.
At that point, I'd be like,
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I feel like at a certain point, I would just redraw something instead of trying to fix it like on the back end.
You're just like, okay, I gotta run it through the thickening filter.
I have done that before with traditional pages, and I was like, whoa, this is like way too thick now. But I guess this is what we're working with. Like,
you're like, yep, well, that's it for me. Hold on, let me let Wick out real quick. 1 second.
Okay.
Why are you being crybaby? Go, crybaby. Oh, careful. Go outside. Good boy. Ugh, okay. He was being good, and then I think he had to go potty.
He's like, never mind. I'm a little crazy.
So yeah, just another okay comic. I don't think I'd continue reading this. I just wasn't intrigued, I guess. It's a pretty standard, like, portal fantasy plot in this issue, so I'm like, eh. What about you, since you read a little bit more?
It was okay, but I also don't think I know enough about Shakespeare I had to look up a lot of stuff when I was reading it, because I was
really?
Who's that? Because the main character goes into like a dream where she meets all these different she meets all these different people that is like, theories about who Shakespeare actually was, and I was like, huh? I didn't know about this. So I ended up Googling a lot of it, and I was like, I had no idea about most of this. I didn't even know he was married. So I clearly know nothing about Shakespeare. So this might be more interesting to someone that is more familiar with that sort of thing. Like if you're really into like, historical theory about stuff like that, then and you love the Sandman. I'm sure this is for you.
You love the
Sandman.
I love that.
I mean, there's tons of people that love the Sandman, right? I don't know. I liked it when I was in high school.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
But yeah. You're like, I don't believe it, but surely someone does.
Yeah.
It might be one of those things where it's like, it might be one of those things where everyone likes it, like everyone likes it, so it's like an expected thing for everyone to accept and love.
Sure.
Like Marvel movies and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Kind of like an ubiquitous, like, oh yeah, Sandman. Of course I love Sandman.
Yeah, that's a comic. Of course I love it. I love comics,
Totally. Yeah, so let's jump to our next comic. This is Crimson Flower by wait, hold on. I forgot to pardon me. I gotta get the credits.
It's also written by Matt Kindt.
Hey, Matt Kindt again. Okay, and
worked on BRZRKR. Art by Matt Lesniewski.
Sorry, Matt Lesniewski.
And Bill Crabtree again.
Yeah.
Bill Crabtree
again.
Again. Good to see Bill's getting lots of work.
Yeah, make money, Bill. Yeah, this is. Let's see. Let me read the synopsis. So, after losing her family in a violent home invasion, a woman uses folktales to cope. In a blood-soaked journey towards revenge, she tracks down the man responsible for her family's death, only to discover a startling government plot to weaponize folktales and use them to raise children into super assassins. Okay, I didn't read this synopsis when I chose it. I just like this artist. So this is really funny to me. Yeah, I
mean, I kind of got that after reading the first issue that was the case.
Okay, I mean, I kind of got the government plot, but I didn't get the folktale thing. I thought it had to do with, like, the pills she was taking. I don't know. Anyway, I love this artist. I've been following them, like, on Instagram, and they also have a YouTube channel. And it is so fun to watch them ink. They're just, like, so meticulous. They kind of remind me of the Little Bird artist. What is his name? Hold on, I forget his name. Who draws little? Ian Bertram, who's another one that kind of does this like really. His work is a bit more flowy than Matt Lenewski's in this one, but yeah, I really love it. Like, just the way he hatches genes.
Cool,
cool
hatching style and, like, really weird shapes, like, really exaggerated, shapes of things. Like, the way he draws boots is, like, crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Every element is, like, it doesn't go untouched. Like, it's perfectly, like, lined and, like, weighted out, and, like, hatched and, like, ticked perfectly. It's really fun to look at his drawings.
Yeah, I feel like I like this comic the least though. Like story-wise, I was like, this isn't doing it for me. The art is really cool and it's like really cool to look at, and that's kind of what I got from it. Was I wasn't feeling the story very much. I think it's kind of a cool concept, but it was just I feel like it's a little bit overdone. Revenge stories. Like an unreliable narrator. Like something to be purely that, it's a lot for me.
Yeah. I also...
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was also kind of like whatever about the story. I didn't get the folktale link that the synopsis is talking about. Like, she sells pills for like a pharmaceutical company. Am I remembering that?
Yeah.
And so I thought it had something to do with that.
I'm guessing that's like the red herring of it, I guess.
I guess. I just wasn't, I don't know. I wasn't paying attention because I don't know. I don't know if I consider Matt Kindt great writer, so kind of my eyes just kind of like glaze over a bit. But yeah, the art is what really pulled me through. I love the shot of her kicking the door in, and that like old guy with his like tendril
like veiny arm.
Yeah, those very like phallic veiny arms.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of something else too. I can't put my finger on it though.
Like the
It
art.
reminds me a lot of like, yeah, the art kind of reminds me of this. I don't know. I'll think of it, or maybe I won't. But
Yeah,
it is cool.
it is pretty cool.
It has
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah, she also like she's kind of like hallucinates a lot, it seems, like when she's telling the possible killer of her dad about this like story of this like boy who goes into a mine. But I feel like it wasn't clear. I don't know, there's like levels of like reality and unreality that I think aren't, like, I was like, oh, is she like manifesting these things? Is she just hallucinating? Like, once you get into the realm of fantasy, you kind of have to make those delineations and like the rules of like the world like clear at the forefront. Because anything is possible.
I think especially like if that's kind of what the whole story is centered around. Like, it's not really about anything other than her trying to figure out the mystery of like her dad getting killed, and just like this whole assassination plot.
Right.
So I feel like with those things in mind, obviously she's trying to figure out like what happened. So they're not going to tell you everything, but I also feel like it gets confusing for sure. So yeah, I think the strongest part of this is definitely the art. I think the art's really cool to look at, but like, I don't know. I didn't find it to be super compelling.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, she kills the guy that she thinks killed her dad, and then the ending is like kind of this really uninspired page of her driving away. And then she's kind of like imagining herself, I guess, as like a superhero flying above her.
Yeah.
But I just found this, it's such a boring final page. Like, there's nothing really unique about how she's perceived, like imagining herself, and then the final panel is literally just a blue car on a gray overpass.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah. I'm like, could we just end on like the superhero self? Like, that would be more interesting to just look at. Like,
yeah, why can't she just, why does she, I don't know. I feel like it's a bit too like, I feel like that part is really obvious, but the rest of it is not. So it doesn't really follow the same story logic to me. Where it's like, oh, like she's seeing herself as this like hero, this like mythical hero. But like all the other parts where you're kind of, getting a glimpse into her way of thinking and like her psyche, it's not as clear. So I think it's like, I'm like, why is this part super like obvious, like shown in a really like not overdone, I guess, like in a really accepted way to show that sort of scene versus like a lot of other choices that they made that are not as common and probably could use a bit more clarity.
Yeah, totally.
But
also, again,
I mean,
oh no, finish your thought.
No, I was kind of just thinking that a lot of it must, like, I feel like a lot of it was very dependent on the art, like kind of visual indicators as to like, this is like storytelling time, like when you have like panels with her telling stories and like her hair is like the border or something.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we're in a different mode now, but like some of it, yeah, I think I don't know, I feel like the lettering could be better actually, now that I think about it. It's like not on the same, I mean, I think it'd be really hard to have on the same level as the art, but like it's definitely like,
yeah, I think this is hand lettered by the artist as well.
Yeah, it's hand lettered, but I'm like, can you like, make the bubbles like different colors or something?
Okay.
It'll be like yellow and white.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just gonna again comment on the over literal use of color. Like, we have gray roads, like washed out blue cars. The blood again is just like, it's red. It's just like the bookshelf is brown, books are brown and green. Like, I don't know. Not to keep shitting on Crabtree, but I am like, I'm sorry, robot.
Yeah,
like,
choose.
What?
You're like, choose someone else. Stop trying to gang up on one color.
I know. I didn't
Sounds
mean
like you have
to,
a vendetta.
I know, right? I didn't mean to make this a crab hate video. And like, yeah, I mean, we all, sometimes you just gotta like pump out colors if you're obviously working on a bunch of series, but I'm just like, mix it up. Like, what could it hurt? Like, that's, let's unify the page with like a hue, like anything.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time things can be a bit more pushed more than just like a slight lighting change or like cooler lighting or like, like we can do more with that. Especially like with color comics, because it's like if it's not adding that much to like just black and white pages, then I kind of feel like, there could be more done.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially something like this. It's like so detailed, and it's like I feel like it's a bit, I don't know, could be more inspired.
Yeah, like I don't know how also about like the rendering on this, like the slight shading. Like I don't know if that's adding much to the art for me. I don't know. What do you think about like the rendering style? Like it's very subtle, which I think is his kind of go-to. It's kind of flats with like soft like airbrush.
Yeah, like a soft like kind of, I don't know, not like backlighting, like kind of bounce light.
Right.
I think it's okay. I'm not a colorist, so like anything better than like what I can do is like more proficient than I am. But yeah, I can see what you mean. It could definitely, I think there can be more contrast with like kind of the visions and real life. Like I can see why people use local colors and stuff like that, like whatever. But I do think that there can be a lot more contrast and a lot more interest.
Yeah, for sure.
But, yeah.
Let me try something actually, because like
you're gonna redo the colors.
I was gonna turn down the saturation on this draw. Well, let me try. Like if I turn down the saturation on this, like this is all like almost the same gray across the board.
Like the same hue.
Yeah. And that's just like not great. Like there's barely any focal points when it's just straight value, which I think is a big problem in most of these pages.
Yeah.
So yeah, I gotta push it. Like I don't know.
Yeah, more contrast with just like the different colors and the values of those colors. Because there's so much shading to the line art as well, which I think kind of, like I think sometimes, when you have such a detailed drawing, you can get away with like flat colors.
Yeah.
As well, like minimal rendering. But like if it's all gonna be like kind of, the same like the same shades, it doesn't really add that much to it. I think.
For sure.
Yeah, because when I try to look at it like through like trying to squint, so it becomes more like amorphous, and like I'm not looking at details as much. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just not. I mean, yeah, it's just very plain and like not. There's not a lot that the coloring I feel like gives to the narrative or to the characters or to the atmosphere. Like we have green poison smoke. We have blue jeans. Like it's. I don't know. It's just very like nothing. Like I would rather see this black and white, because then you would actually get the like harsh pop of like contrast that we kind of need here. Yeah. And again, I think another thing that this has an issue with is composition, not as badly as like the Dreaming does, but like there's that like like one of the opening pages where the little girl's walking through her dad's library. And that's kind of tricky when you have like a set, like a environment that's got a lot of like vertical lines or like doors, and I think that could have been handled more, just like more creatively, Like, you could have just had, like, one backdrop of books and had this character moving around without it being 4 separate panels.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because there's not a lot... Like, the dad's just sitting at his desk. He's not doing anything. No, just the little girl is moving. And I feel like that's something actually, like, Shoujo and Josei does really well, is, like, minimal... Like, really minimizing paneling. And, like, having, like, one background or, like, one main panel, and then having this character move around, and you don't actually have to see, like... have to see it, like, storyboarded, you know? Like, okay, now she's at this part of the bookcase, and then she lifts a book from the 3rd shelf up. Like, it's not... It doesn't add anything. So, like, why... You know, why draw it if it's not doing anything?
Yeah, it's like... I think... It's also, like... all the drawings with the dad at his desk are, like, pretty similar, except for one of them. But they're all, like, at different angles, slightly different angles, which I think is probably what's also sticking out to you, like, when you look at it, is that it keeps on, like, flipping, like, back and forth, kind of, and, like, it doesn't add anything, and, you know, if you're going to compare it to storyboards, I would say it's closer to storyboards than comics, maybe, but also the fact that it keeps changing angle is also, like, not a thing in storyboards, so I feel like it doesn't... It's, like, way more work. It doesn't add that much visually.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's almost just... I feel like the reason it's like that is because it's on a grid, but I feel like that's not really a good enough reason to do that.
Yeah.
Especially this page.
Yeah, I feel like the grid is, like, overrated a lot of the time, like... And also I feel like it also makes you think in, like, perfect sequence when you don't have to panel things like that. Like, you can be...
Yeah.
You can have stuff that's, like, asymmetric. You can have... Like, we're on a 2D plane. Like, you can manipulate the environment however you want, you know? And also you can, like, rely on your reader to draw connections. Like, you could just have, like, you know, a row of books and, like one
the character panel, like, in different positions or something.
Yeah, like, you can just imply things. Like, we don't have to see this whole, like, library, like, 4 times from 4 different angles. Yeah, just I think that's something that a lot of cartoonists fall prey to. It's like, okay, we have this, like, grid, and we have, like, you know, we want to decompress. They want to decompress scenes so that, like, oh, okay, here she's grabbing the book and she's taking it back and she's walking to the chair, and, like, you can cut so much of that out because the reader will connect the dots, you know?
Yeah. Like, I think there's some people, they cut out way too much and some people just add too much. There's kind of a happy medium where, especially in comics, you can, like, you know, you can have, like, one panel with, like, multiples of the same character, like, doing different things, and it does, you know, you're not going to think that there's, like, 5 different characters that are the same person. You're just going to be like, oh, they're, like, moving around in the room. And that's not really something you can do in a lot of other mediums, especially, like, to tell a story. So I feel like to be able to utilize that, you know, just, like, forget the grid. Yeah. Just have, like, one big panel or something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was Crimson Flower. I think I'll probably try and keep up on this or get the trade. Because I love this guy's artwork, and I think he's doing interesting things stylistically that I don't see a lot, and I hope that the paneling and, like, composition improves. Because I think he's got a lot to offer, so, yeah. What about you?
I thought it was okay. I don't really know. Story-wise, it's, like, not really my thing. I do like his art, though. Kind of, I feel like they're not really similar, but the kind of, like, maximalist style kind of reminds me of Trad Moore as well.
Like, yeah, totally.
So, but I feel like Trad tends to lean into more experimental color schemes for pages and stuff like that, and plays with scale and you know, elements that kind of, like, go out of the frame more. Like, I feel like I kind of prefer that, like, having, you know, every so often there's like an element that goes outside of the frame, but, like, I don't really like it when things are kind of, like, writing, like, right up next to the borders.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of that in these comics, it's not necessarily a bad thing either, but, you know, I feel like sometimes when things bother you personally, like in your own drawings, it's hard to like look at them in other people's drawings and be like, oh yeah, it's fine when they do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're not super similar stylistically, but I think it's kind of the mentality behind it that's similar. And I kind of wish that more people like, you know, went with like a more psychedelic or like experimental way of inking or like coloring things.
Yeah, totally. There's also just like this like sense of like preciousness with how he inks that I also really like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the clothing isn't taken for granted, like the patterns.
No stone left unturned.
Yes. Which I really love to look at. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel that.
Sweet. Well, those are our 3 comics, our comic reviews. Let's jump back to our pretty faces. So that was fun. I liked being able to like see what we were talking about as we were talking about it. Hopefully,
yeah, I mean, we can usually yeah, I think sometimes, you know, you can do your own research as well, but it is cool to be able to see it without having to be like, I have to read this whole comic. Instead of just like, you know, passively seeing it in the corner of your eye.
Yeah, totally. We should do some like red lines sometime.
God. I feel like cause like in the middle of trying to rough stuff, I'm like, oh my god, my brain doesn't work anymore. Like, it's like that sort of thing where you're like, I can't even redline my own drawings. Like, how am I supposed to do someone else's? But we can do that. I was telling Sloane that we could like look at other people's comics and even our own old pages or like maybe even current pages. I don't know, like about things that we could change or like make or like, you know.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Better.
It'll be cringe, but I kind of like that idea for sure.
Yeah, I'd just be like, I would just redo this whole thing. I wouldn't save anything. Just fix it.
Like we're gonna start from scratch. I mean, that's kind of cool to like take a page and like the scene on the page and like rework it with our new perspective. Yeah, like maybe we'd focus on a different, I don't know, point of the event. I don't know. But
it'd be so funny if I was like, I made it worse.
Yeah.
So much worse than what it was.
I'm like, ooh, actually that's ugly now.
You're like, I don't like that. It doesn't look good anymore. Looked way better before when it was less shitty.
Yeah. I'm like, ugh, yeah. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, so I don't know how often we'll do YouTubes. Maybe, I don't know, Leslie, what do you think? Twice a month? Could we do weekly? We'd have to read a lot.
I think it just depends on what we're doing, you know?
Yeah, true. I mean, I guess we could just talk about stuff. People just talk about stuff on YouTube, I guess, right?
Yeah, people do anything.
Yeah.
Pretty open. Yeah, I mean, we haven't recorded an episode in quite a while, so I'm sure there's stuff to talk about.
Yeah, totally.
We'll just be like reviewing 90 Day Fiancé episodes.
God, no! I mean, okay, that's fun, though. Yeah, this was fun. Thank you to anyone who was watching. Ping said hi. Thank you, Ping. Thank you, Woo. Yeah, we will see you next time. Leslie, do you want to give them your social, the usual end spiel?
Yeah, this was fun. Hopefully it was fun for whoever was able to drop by. You can find the podcast at saltandhoneypod on Twitter, and you can email us at saltandhoneypod@gmail.com. I hadn't checked my email in a long time, so like whenever there was unread message, never got back to this person. It's too late now. But yeah, you can email us because, you know, we still check it. And you can find me, Leslie, at Leslie Hung on Twitter and at Dairy Free on Instagram.
Nice. And I'm Sloane Sloane on Twitter. SloaneSloane.com is my website, and Sloane Leong on Instagram. And yeah, we will see you next time. Thanks for hanging out. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see if I can play our outro. Yay! I think I'm playing it.